you just get right into it. And so we're just going to get right into it with a big welcome to the Checkpoint Church podcast. This is a show that helps nerds, geeks, and gamers feel seen, connected, and spiritually supported because you do not have to explore faith alone. Today, we really just have one big topic that we wanted to work around. I'm going to see if this is a better system for us here at the Checkpoint Church podcast. This show is supposed to be an hour long, and it has almost every time been like an hour and 15. So I'm thinking, hey, if we do just like one big segment and then do the watch, play, reads, and anything else that we kind of throw in throughout, maybe that'll limit us down to an hour. Watch, we're still going to talk for like an hour and a half. I just know it, but we're going to try. We are going to try to keep it to the hour mark today. For those of you that don't know, I am Nerd Pastor Nate. I'm a real life nerd, a real life pastor. I find Jesus in my favorite fandoms every other week here through nerdy sermons at Checkpoint Church. I am also the pastor and planter of Checkpoint, and this space is designed to bring the community of Checkpoint Church together, along with some of our level 2 folks, some of our leaders in the community, just to get to be in community with one another. So whether you are on our Discord, whether you found us here on YouTube, or wherever you might be watching the stream or listening to the podcast, we're glad that you're here. And this is designed for us to get to know one another even better. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our co-hosts to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into our watch, play, read segment of the show. So I know we've had Lizzie on before, but we've not had Resident Orthobro. So why don't you introduce yourself and just let us know, a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm a Resident Orthobro. I hang around Checkpoint quite a lot. I was previously known as Resident Catholic. That's a long story. Obviously don't have time to explain all that in the podcast. But yeah, I just play a lot of games. Recently found a group with an orthodoxy that's similar to Checkpoint. So it's like a group for nerds, but in an orthodox perspective. So I've been getting pretty involved with that here lately too. So
Nice.
Thanks. Hello, I'm Lizzie. That's all I got today. I'm coloring, if you're wondering what I'm doing. So, but still very much paying attention.
Very nice. Nice to see you and to be seen. As always, we're going to start with our watch, play, read, what you've been watching, playing, and reading. If you are in the chat with us today, or if you're watching after the fact, do let us know down in the comments down below. I know I see Twyla and Marlena in the chat. We're glad that you're here. But be sure to drop in there. What have you been watching? What have you been playing? What have you been reading? I kind of want to take it one at a time because we did that last week and I really liked the flow of it. So I think I'm going to start with what I have been watching and then just pass it to either one of you that wants to pick up the mantle with what you've been watching. And the answer for me is pretty quick and easy, like not much. I have not been watching much at all. I did catch up to, I've caught up and finished Zenshu for our anime club this month. I'm trying to catch up with as many of the anime for this season as I can to see if there's a nerdy sermon in them. So I watched the one that was like playing death games to put money on the table or something like that. And I really vibe with that one a lot. And then I also watched Sentenced to be a Hero, which was a pretty good time as well. And I continue my journey through Gnosia. And I'm super enjoying that one, although that is a hard recommendation. It is such a weird show. It was a weird game. I don't know who it's for, but it is certainly for me. So if you're down with the like weird visual novel-y murder mystery vibes, might be for you. But that's what I've been getting into on the watch category. What about y'all?
Since you said murder mystery, I watched 3 out of 6 episodes of a murder mystery show, I guess on Netflix, called His and Hers. Definitely 18 plus.
Yeah.
But it's been real interesting. I got in an episode too late, I guess, because my housemates were watching it. But it's really intriguing. I've been like, could it be this person? What about this person? Oh my gosh, they all seem so guilty. But yeah, it's been a really interesting time. And then I rewatched Encanto recently because Disney movies just got me recently. But yeah, that's what I've been watching.
I had to look it up because I knew the actors for that one. So it's headlined by John Bernthal and Tessa Thompson. As I don't know if they are the the titular his and hers or not, but
I think so, yeah.
yeah, John Bernthal is a fascinating figure. Most would probably know as the Punisher, and then Tessa Thompson's in all sorts of stuff. But two actors that I've not seen together, and I'm hearing good things about their. I don't know if it's like chemistry as in romantic chemistry, but it's chemistry as in their presence on screen is working really well for folks.
They, yes and no.
Gotcha.
for the
No spoilers,
romance,
no
just
spoilers.
regular. Yep, go for it.
I really haven't been watching much. This weekend, with how busy I was with church stuff, I think I was at church from like 9 o'clock to like 8 o'clock yesterday evening. So
wow.
I have not been like watching anything here lately.
Yeah, I'm definitely in a lull. I'm in a lull of watching things. I feel like I don't have the interest or the time to like sit down and watch something, but I do have the interest and time to sit down and play something.
Yeah. Right.
Speaking of playing, I am continuing my journey. I think I'm like 15 hours into Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, which is the GameCube one that just got released on Nintendo Switch Online. And y'all, I'm loving it. It is so good. And I just keep taking screenshots because they keep saying banger after banger of like lines to each other. Whoever wrote this game, it might be my favorite writing of a Fire Emblem. Like it is a scathing political review of like what we're willing to do to each other in the midst of war, what sources of power kind of influence war. Like it feels very akin to having just finished Final Fantasy Tactics. Like it feels very much like it was riding on the coattails of Final Fantasy Tactics and took it a step further. So if you are down for some political intrigue, it's really fun. The best part is that our like protagonist of Ike, I've never known anything about Ike except for Super Smash Brothers. Like that is my one experience with him as his character. And he's not like a knucklehead, but he's just, just kind of there. He's like a part of things and has no idea how to do anything at all, but is just like a part of it. And then all the other characters around him are having this like deep intrigue while he is just like, I don't know what you just said, but I really love my friends. And I'm like, you know what? I love that you're here, Ike. I'm glad that you're a part of this, but we might need you. We might need you to do a little bit more heavy thinking with this one. So it's a good time. I really recommend it for anybody that loves Fire Emblem. It is quickly becoming one of my very favorites. And I think I don't know if I like it more than Awakening yet, but I certainly have it right up there with my favorites.
I relate to that character a lot. I have not played any of the Fire Emblem, but I often am like, I'm here. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, Twyla says, and Ike's here too. That's spot on.
And Ike's here too. That is a mood. I've been playing Disney Dreamlight Valley quite a bit. That has been that, Slay the Spire, and Overwatch, I think. And I've also gotten back into Fortnite. Their Rock Band mode, for some reason, has got me. It's so funny when they censor certain songs. They also had the cat that spins around, ooh, ee, ah.
Oh,
they
yeah.
had that on.
That's amazing.
And played that. It was amazing for sure. But yeah, I think that's all I've been playing.
So here lately, really just been playing Clone Hero like I typically do, a Fortnite Festival, and been getting back into Elder Scrolls Online, which has been a fun time because they're supposed to be releasing a lot of the DLCs for free this year. So I've been getting back pretty heavy into that, but yeah, typically just Clone Hero is a lot of all I play since I bought the cracked GG guitar. So
yeah, that's super cool. And if anybody wants to see that, I believe you posted it. Was it in the video games channel or?
It was in Slice of Life. I do know
Slice of Life.
Posted. It was like a $200 guitar controller though, so they are fairly expensive. Worth it if you have the money though, I will say.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. It's pretty cool. Always fun to see the merchandise or the like collectible stuff that goes along with video games, especially that era of games, which I feel like we're due for. I think we're due for a new wave of tangible merchandise to go along with. I think the last one maybe was Nintendo Labo. Granted, that wasn't like a music rhythm game, but that was the last time we had that like memorabilia phase for anything. So
Right. There's a couple of games this year that I'm excited for. I know that I think Red Octane is about to release a rhythm game and releasing their own guitar, which has the solo frets on the Rock Band controller, but then the buttons up at the top are all Guitar Band or Guitar Hero buttons. So it's a little weird. But then I know Cracked is also getting ready to release a drum set, which I'm most likely going to buy when it drops.
nice. I love it. Let's see. We've got a couple of folks in the chat dropping theirs as well. So I will say Lee Animal has said not playing or watching much, but did squeeze in some TTRPGs. Twyla ended up watching through the Wiz's film adaptation, playing Kirby for our game club, and reading about DJing, which is super interesting. Mindful Marlena played Queen by Midnight, first deck building game. So that was interesting to learn. Yeah, and Twyla, I don't want to know how long ago Labo was. As far as I'm concerned, it was no more than a year and a half ago, and I refuse to accept anything else. But you know, Checkpoint is 6 years old, so I feel like I have no control over time anymore. Our last one is reading. What you've been reading? I have been going through quite a few books. I just started the gaming comedy book, Good Game No Rematch by Mike Drucker. And I'm doing the audiobook because I heard everybody say you should do the audiobook because he is very funny. And sure enough, it's been a really good listen so far, especially if you grew up in an era of gaming, you know, in the 90s to 2000s, you'll relate to the stories that he shares. And it's just a good time. I'm also reading through The Work of Art, which is a journey by, I think, New York Times journalist. I'm not sure who he actually works for, but Adam Moss, who talks about the like how art happens. And then in a similar vein, I started Makoto Fujimura's Art Is, A Journey into the Light book, his new book from last year, which has been good so far. I started finally, I need to reach out to some of our past DLC hosts who kept recommending this book to me, but Robin Wall Kimmerer's Braiding Sweetgrass, I am officially reading it. It has been on my list forever, and I've had it on Libby as like a, once this is available, please let me read it. And they finally have said, I am the one. So I am reading through that and enjoying it so far. A good journey, an interesting one to have read The Sentence, and then to read Braiding Sweetgrass, because there are quite a good bit of like ancestral spirituality in The Sentence, and then to kind of hear more of that in Braiding Sweetgrass from like a less cynical and more informative view is pretty interesting. And then I started the Charles Mackesy book number 2, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. He has a second one, and so I'm reading through the second one, and it's been fun. So that's what I have been getting into in my reading hours. How about y'all?
I'm actually reading a book, you guys. It's been a while. It is a
We love it.
very self-help book. My friend may have tricked me into reading it. It's Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. And definitely have felt a little too seen, a little too perceived. But it's been good. I'm excited to delve further into that and have conversations with people who have also read the book, and my therapist who has not read the book apparently. So but yeah, it's been really interesting.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely made the rounds. That was one that was in the ether there for a while. So I'll be interested to hear how it lands as soon as everything wraps up. If it leaves you with something to like actionably go towards. That's my problem with the self-help stuff, is it's always like, I really enjoyed reading this, and now I know nothing to do with it. I guess I better go read it again, because I put it down and all of the lessons went out one ear. So yeah, that's the trouble.
Yeah.
Taking good notes.
Yeah, no, I do that same thing, especially with self-help books, theology books, the Bible. It's bad. It's bad, y'all. I picked up a book yesterday at my church's library. They had a book called Christ the Eternal Tao, which I'm getting ready to read. Essentially, it puts like Christ's message and Christ's image through the eyes of Lao Tzu, which should be an interesting read.
Sure.
I started reading The Orthodox Way And then I'm also reading Unseen Warfare, which was written by an Orthodox hermit, and it has to deal with, the different demons we might deal with going throughout life and the different issues we have. So that's what I've been reading here lately.
Very nice. It sounds super interesting.
It does. I also don't understand how you guys read more than one book at a time. I would get so lost. I've never been able to read several books at once.
If it's a fiction book, I can't do that. But if it's something like to do with theology, that's fairly easy.
Okay.
Compared to like a fiction book, I get it with a fiction book or even like a self-help book. It might be a little harder. But if it's theology books, there's times when I'm reading 5 or 6 at a time.
That's fair.
It's a lot, but yeah, it's bad sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's one of the ways that my ADHD actually helps me is that I feel really capable of compartmentalizing my books. Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't think that's how it manifests in everybody, but for whatever reason, like how, the like ADHD tendency where you're doing a chore and then you'll notice another chore and you'll just drop everything you were doing to go do the other one. Like my brain is able to do that with books. And so I'm able to like hold the information as I'm reading it. And then I move on to the next one. And it's like that other book never existed. So I can pick it up later and start from where I was. But yeah, something about that, that compartmentalization works.
All right. Makes sense.
Fair point.
But it's also been a habit that I've just kept up forever. And so I feel like if I ever stop, then I'll lose all of the muscles that I've built. But I have been consistently, since I graduated from seminary, reading through one chapter of 7 books every day. And it works so well. Just as a structure.
All right. I'll have to try that one day.
Yeah. No, you really don't. You absolutely do not have to try that. It is not necessarily recommended. It is not a flex. It is just a habit that I maintain.
Yeah.
But maybe that's how I get into reading, Maybe.
Right?
My problem is I'll pick up a book and then I start reading it. And then I put it down and then get to being busy and doing something else. And then I forget what I read. So then I have to go back and reread all of this that I just read. I'm like, man.
Yeah. I've been listening to my book rather than, I guess, like visually reading it. And then I get distracted by other things. And then I'm reading things while I'm listening to it. And I'm like, all right. We gotta go backtrack.
Yeah, the like loop where you get stuck on reading the one sentence over and over and over again, and you just keep reading the same sentence. That is very much a reality. So I do get that one.
Yeah.
So one other thing that I wanted to mention, we talked about this a little bit before the show officially started, is we never really talk about what we're listening to in this watch, play, read segment. I don't know if I want to like consistently add on listening to one, but I did pick up a new tactic that I wanted to share with folks. So for years I've always done NPR's New Music Friday thing. For those of you that don't know, most albums, especially if they're like mainstream, release on Fridays. And so people will typically pick up like the new albums on a Friday, kind of like you might go for like a comic book haul where you come in and do your pull list. Very similar vibes. So NPR has this thing called the Tiny Desk series. That's how I discovered NPR Music. And then NPR Music led me to NPR Music Fridays, where they go through all of their favorite albums of the day. They make a playlist on most of the major playlist maker sites, streaming sites. And I have for years listened to those lists. And this year I am trying to not just lose those songs in the ether, but instead trying to keep track of my favorites. And so I've made myself my own little New Music Friday highlights podcast or playlist. And I am enjoying that a good bit. I've already discovered several bands that way that I am excited for. One of which is, if you like Midwest emo vibes, Homestar, not Homestar Runner, but Homestar and a space. They sound so fun in Midwest emo and are just a vibe. And then I also discovered that there's this other band that I had no idea existed called Salt, Sault. And they are like a neo soul, R&B, jazz fusion gospel group. And so it is really, really good stuff. So if you are at all into neo soul, if you're at all into like electronic, but more an RB electronic, and you also want to hear random like old hymns or like black church lines that are just absolutely killing it, Salt might be one to check out. I don't know if y'all have anything you want to share there or not, but that's just a little tactic that I've been doing.
If you do, Lizzie, you can go first if you want to, Lizzie, if you have anything.
I was just gonna talk. I mean, I've shared during Mana and Mingle before. I think Spencer LaJoy. They are a Christian-ish artist. I don't quite know, but that's who I'm seeing in February, and I'm really excited. They had an album come out pretty within the last couple of months. But other than that, I've just been listening to my same old, like Messy by Lila Young and stuff. So, go ahead.
I recently was talking with my priest at my church, and we got to talking about music, and he got me onto this. It's a solo doom metal band entirely done by an Orthodox priest called Patericon. And he has such a like cool Black Sabbath-y type sound. It's so good, and I'm super stoked that my priest got me hooked onto it because it is just so good. Absolutely phenomenal really cool music. And it's the fact that it's doom metal that I'm just like, yep, you got me there.
I love it. Very cool. Well, do let us know if you have anything that you have been listening to in the chat. I see Twyla mentions a little bit about the DJ Reads. I've gotten them into Mixcloud, a legal friendly thing, which has anime and chiptune, plus the Chip Rave artists from Magfest for chiptune. Yeah, I don't know if New Music Friday will ever cover anybody that does chiptune-esque vibes. I don't even know if they would do many electronic artists. They did, I think, this past week have, oh gosh, I can't remember their name. But yeah, every now and again they have like an electronic artist on there. Spoofy's going to show up here on the stream.
It blocked all of us out. There we go.
Yeah. Cave Town. I couldn't remember Cave Town.
Oh, I love Cave Town.
Yeah, so Cave Town either released a new album or a new single, and added it to my highlights.
I think it's a new album, but I have not listened to it yet.
That's fine. Yeah, that was going to bug me until I remembered their name. And Twyla has also dropped in the Patericon spelling for anybody that's curious about how to spell that. Cool. All right. Well, that is our watch, play, read, and sometimes listen. And we'll see how that works for folks. I did want to talk next about a quick shout out. So a week from today, we are going to be having our DLC. That stands for Difficult Life Conversation. It's not really going to be that difficult unless it maybe is, because I think some people can find that this language sometimes troublesome, triggering, challenging, unsettling, especially for those that really like routines or maybe have been like traumatized in the past by resolutions and that kind of stuff. We're going to be doing a visioning kind of DLC. We're going to talk about the year ahead. We're going to envision a little bit for the year ahead. We're going to make a Checkpoint Church bingo card. We're going to talk through, I'm really into like wanting to play around with punch cards. So we might do some of that. But all of that is going to be one big night together where we're just going to talk about the future of Checkpoint and the future of our own lives for anything that people want to do. We'll talk about some of the troublesome parts of resolutions and the things that we can do to make those healthier, or at least goal setting healthier, and then just visioning in general in a healthy, responsible, mental health oriented way. And so that'll be next Sunday, the 25th of January at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll get together and hang out and have a good time. And then at the hour mark, we will be offering communion. So anybody that would like to be part of communion is welcome to join us. The table is open, and we do that every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, whether we have a DLC or not. So that's always something that people can come and be a part of. But that's how we like to sort of center our time together right there. And as Twyla mentioned there, the best way to find out about all that information and to stay in touch is to join our Discord server and to get into the RSVP feed, where you can go to the events and say, I'm interested in this, and we'll know to be looking for you and ping you if you aren't able to join it and forget. Of course, if you can't come and you did RSVP, no big deal there, but wanted to make sure folks knew about that. With that, we're going to move into our main topic. Unless you have anything to add about visioning. Did you have anything to add? No. DLC is always a good time. And we will have Man and Mingle tonight, which is where we just kind of hang out and have communion together. So that's very much a part of our Sunday evenings, regardless we have a DLC or not. So always join us for that. But our main subject for today, as folks have already seen in the title, is we're going to be talking about this sort of breaking news that happened a couple weeks ago at this point and made the rounds. So there was this unveiling surprise of a lot of people, especially looking for a scoop, will go and look at like past patents that people have filed. People love to do that for Nintendo to see like what Nintendo's working on, if they're, especially when the Nintendo Switch 2 was like about to come out and they were trying to figure out what it was going to be and if it was going to look like a Nintendo DS or whatever. And people like to go back and look at patents. And so in the searching of patents, somebody found that Sony about a year ago had filed a patent for an AI generated ghost player, something that would essentially be, I really thought about, honestly, the racing game days where you would play against like a past timed version of yourself, and that would be a ghost. Only the vibe is a little bit different because this ghost would be sort of a guide playing the game for you. And so it was sort of unsure, like, is it going to be a ghost that shows you the answer to the puzzle? Is it going to be kind of Uncharted vibes in that way? Or would it be a ghost that literally takes over your controller and does the work for you? We didn't really know because this was just a patent and not something actually announced. We don't even know if Sony will ever actually do anything with this or not. But the whole concept of ghost assisted gameplay, AI assisted gameplay, really took everybody by storm. They all wanted to talk about it. Folks were wanting to know more about it. And the whole topic of AI itself is one that is so incredibly like passionate. People that really, really like it, really, really like it. People that really, really hate it, like really, really hate it. And so there was just an instant division. It was an instant like tribalist response of the us versus them kind of thing around, we absolutely can never have any form of AI at all in our games at all, or this is the future and I'm never going to play a game again because all my games are just going to play themselves. And I love that for some reason. It was just a weird response all around. And so it inspired in me the desire to kind of reflect on that. And so before we take some time to reflect, what were y'all's like initial thoughts to just the whole overall vibe of that concept? Did the breaking news land in your news feeds, and what was your initial response? Either one.
Yeah. I only heard about it because of Checkpoint. And I had a lot of mixed feelings about it, as a mixed feelings person on most things, but especially AI. Yeah, I don't really know. I guess I've been thinking about it, and just as long as it's not like, because there's like different versions of AI, right? And as long as it's not like generative AI, fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But I don't know. I can see great use in it, but also like, what does it matter to me, right? If I'm not going to use it, I'm not going to use it, and
Right.
that's okay. So that's kind of most of my feelings on it, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Yeah.
What about you,
It
Arthur,
does.
bro?
I had very mixed feelings on it too. I could see how it would be a positive thing, especially since I work in a field with people who have varying disabilities and need different things for accessibility. So I could see it helping, someone like in the field that I work, maybe can't just, physically cannot, do that thing. But then I also see the other side of that, which people are going to absolutely abuse it if it comes out and use it just to play all their games to get all the achievements, and it's like, what's the point in using it? It's for a specific purpose. Like, I don't know. I had very mixed feelings on it, but I don't really like AI in general, especially because of how it's affecting computer part prices. That's a different conversation.
Yeah. There's always the conversation behind the conversation too. And that's where the troublesome, I think, divide happened with this one, is even having the word AI associated with this, I think, made people have like a very judgment call kind of reaction to it. because it was like, well, what does that actually mean? And what does any of this mean in regards to what it takes to compute this kind of stuff? And all of this also comes couched in a broader conversation of the games industry of like, hey, look, we can't even keep people paid. Like, we can't stop firing folks. And we're really talking about patents for like implementing AI to this level. And then also the kind of like, are we solving a non-issue? Is this actually a thing that is a concern for people? Are people actually having trouble finishing the game? Or do we need to like, I've seen a lot of accessibility measures taking place for like turning down the difficulty of puzzles in accessibility settings, and that being a sort of vibe. But that's become a big question, I think, is what are we talking about when we talk about AI, and what are we talking about whenever we even mean a assistance? Like, is this a Navi situation where it's just like literally guiding us across the entire game and always there kind of if we need them, or like enable them? Or is this more along the lines of an accessibility setting that you just turn on in your settings and it helps solve a puzzle? Or can you just skip a puzzle kind of thing? Like, is it really necessary in a world where we can just say, solve this for me? What does that mean? No.
Also thinking of it, because for some reason I was thinking of it as it controlled your character and just like kind of did. I wasn't quite sure what it was either, but if it was something where it just kind of controlled your character to a certain point till you told it to stop or whatever, like, why not just watch a let's play, right? Like,
Right.
that was kind of my thing of like, I understand needing help and that's fine. But if you're just gonna watch it play anyway, like, why not watch a let's play, you know?
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I have personally used a let's play, especially on like some older games where I'm like, yeah, I have no idea. So I would say in the right context, this ghost AI could be used in a good way. My worry is, like I said, people are just going to absolutely abuse the heck out of it. And it's, like I said, it is useful for people who quite literally, like, if there's, maybe something they have to do with their controller and they can't, move that way, there's certain things they can't do. And it could be helpful in a context like that. But I just think, I don't know, there's a little bit of nuance there, I guess.
I also don't know necessarily how somebody would abuse something like that either. Like, if that's how you want to play your, like, if they're using it to 100% a game, right? To, like, and that's how they want to use it, like, that's fine. That's okay. Like,
But what's the point
right.
in playing games, Like, if that's what you're gonna
Yeah.
do, what's the point in even buying a game and playing it?
Yeah. I can understand that for sure.
This was
That's
where I wound up writing from. And so I took to the blogosphere because I wanted to wax poetic about this concept, and very much made that sort of leap of like, in this realm of, they're going to do what they're going to do. We can only control what we can control. Is this something that gamers should want? Like, is this something that we need to ask ourselves as like human beings experiencing games as art? Is that something that we should desire? Because on one hand, like, you can, if we're going to interpret games through the lens of games being art, then is it okay for somebody to skip every cutscene because they just want to get to the end of the game and they don't experience any of the game? That's their choice. People can certainly do that, and people certainly do. But for me, like, that would rob me of the experience. I would rather experience the cutscenes than the gameplay. I sometimes have been known to go and look up like a cutscene movie version on YouTube of the game. I don't need the necessarily gameplay. I want to experience the actual story. So what are the ethical conundrums of that kind of thing? And so for me, what it came down to was like asking the question of, are we asking ourselves the question? In the wake of this, are we willing to like wrestle with, what do I want out of a game? And do I see this as being a hindrance from that, or like a supplement to that? And for me, I'm always going to approach it from the lens of a pastor because that is my job. And I'm going to try my best to say, like, this is a way to experience. a game, and we should at least be asking within the realm of doing good and doing no harm and striving to grow, where are we robbing ourselves of experiences? Where are we causing harm to our own experiences? Where are we not doing the most good and exploring these games to the fullest of their potential? And again, kind of like T-Bone has pointed out in the chat there, who are we to tell people how to play their games? Exactly. I do hear that.
Yeah,
but I, as a pastor, do have an obligation to ask people, how are you living your life? That is a part of like my role as a spiritual leader. And so if I consider games to be a part of our life and the art that we experience to be a part of our life, I shouldn't tell you necessarily what to do. But I do kind of have a prerogative of offering a lens to view all of it through, and a way to experience things and to dive deeper into it. So yeah, that was where I wrote from. And if folks want to, I'll drop it down in the description down below if you want to read my quick thoughts. It's mostly what I've already said, but I have a real fear of, and this is coming from somebody who just like acknowledged at the beginning of this episode that I read 7 books at a time, which is probably too many books. And if my brain wasn't capable of compartmentalizing them, then I would say I'm also probably like robbing myself of the depth of a lot of these books. And so I think that one of the questions that I find a lot of shame and guilt in is like, am I so obsessed with consuming media that I forget to like savor it? And again, that's a very personal question. That's something that I, as a pastor, can ask you to consider, but I can't make you consider anything. I can't make you do anything. I just think that that's what we should be doing in our gift of play, because I think that's what it is. I think we are gifted with the privilege of being able to play in a world where art is playable.
Yeah. I don't have much of a response to that, but yeah. It is.
Yeah, that's. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm very much. I don't. The word's not wishy-washy, but like I can see both sides of like Trombone's question of, but who are we to tell people how to play their games? And I think as long as it's not forcing
Right.
anyone to have to use the AI, like then fine, like that's fine. I can see it doing. I can see the AI element in this doing more good than harm. In that aspect, if we dig deeper into all the rest of the complicities of AI, maybe not so much. But as for video games, I think overall there's probably going to be a more positive outcome.
Mm-hmm. What I think is so funny about all this is that we've had AI in games called that since I was a little child. And this would not, like, if this had been announced in 2018, this would have been an absolute nothing burger. Like, nobody would have cared. They would have been like, oh, okay, an AI in a game. Yeah, I play COD without real players sometimes too. Like, sometimes I play against computer players too. And like, that's what computer players were. We called them the AI for a while there. And like, that could be very well what this is talking about. And it's literally just like somebody that has taken the time to create a character that plays how the game is meant to be played. And you can choose to like watch their ghost or not. And this is all one big, like, blown out of proportion thing because this word has become such a stopgap for a lot of folks. Or this could be a real source of generative, like, training data questionability. What is what? We don't know.
Right. Yeah. And I guess if they do put it into practice, I guess, the question begs to, how did they put it into practice? I'd say would be another question. How is the AI trained? What processes are they using? So I guess it begs the questions of the ethics behind that too. Is it being used in a way that is ethical, or are they going about it in such a way that it would be considered, unethical and no pun intended, but unorthodox?
Right. Yeah. Twyla's in the chat and mentioned something that relates. So we had a frequent host of the show, T-Bone, who is also, I mean, I think I would describe them as an advocate for accessibility. I don't know if that's fair, but if you would give me the permission to describe you that way, T-Bone, we kind of reached out and asked, what are your thoughts on this and on this discussion? And I think they offered something really similar to what Twyla's talking about there, where, I mentioned how this has kind of become a buzzword, but in a negative way, but that also could be the opposite, that this is an investor buzzword, and that this could be utilized as a means to people that have a lot of money want to know that you're incorporating AI. And so it's becoming also sort of a scapegoat. It's becoming a way of like getting the attention of investors as well. And so T-Bone kind of touched on that in a way in their response, which I'll read now. So this is from their response on our Discord server. As a disabled person, I can see the use of AI in video games. I do not condone the use of AI with the excuse of accessibility to make it more palatable when it is taking away jobs from artists and game developers and designers. That's my line when I'm considering the ethical uses of AI. Can this also be done by a human just with slightly more time and money instead of AI? The larger a game studio is, the less likely the reason for them to use AI, as they can usually afford to hire a human instead. I have more sympathy for indie game studios that have limited funds, especially if they are transparent about their use of AI and why they decided to use it. I have seen indie studios use it for translation until they're able to hire someone who can do the translation and thus at a better quality. Basically, if you're going to use AI, then you need to say why you choose AI instead of a human, and don't throw in being accessible as your reason, because it will be more palatable that way. That's the end of the quote. And I did want to bring that up just because of Twyla's mention there about this being a potential way of getting more funding, more attention, more eyeballs drawn towards them. Again, kind of like as a scapegoat, attention grabber, investor buzzword to get the attention on a thing. And using the term accessibility, as T-Bone notes, is like potentially problematic, especially if you're using it to garner attention.
Absolutely. I think I can agree with Trombone with that for sure, of using AI for accessibility. As someone who has used AI for accessibility, sometimes I've needed things broken down a little bit more, right, to further process an assignment or task, right? But yeah, I think that's all I got, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
I kind of share the same sentiment with T-Bone about it. As long as it's not taking away jobs, I guess, and used in an ethical way instead of, for being generative or, using it for accessibility, or saying that's what you're using it just to make it, as T-Bone said, more palatable. As long as it's used in a context where it really isn't taking away jobs from humans, especially by, bigger studios who definitely have the money, I guess it's not necessarily a problem, but AI in general, I'm not a massive fan of. I could see how it could be useful, but I just don't personally enjoy AI. So,
And your comment earlier, Nate, about how AI has been in video games for years, like that's why I also was like, as long as it's not generative, it's fine, right? Like there was
Right.
a lot of the AI in those games are just already programmed to be that. Like it's not generating anything new. That's just how the game is programmed,
right,
in my understanding at least.
right.
But yeah.
Well, and I would say the processing, or the way that AI processes things now, is different than, AI from early gaming. You
Mhm.
look at AI now, it takes a lot more to process something. It takes up a lot more RAM, graphics for generative AI, and just a bunch of different things. That it's a very different process now. AI is very different than it was, back when it was just like Siri being a virtual assistant, and
Right.
the occasional AI in gaming, when it came to just like ghost players and things like that. Not ghost players as in they're playing the game for you, but like in racing games, like Nate had
Yeah.
mentioned.
Well, and this was a buzzword like debate during the Nemesis system days. So this was something that really came up with the Middle Earth games. Um, Warner Brothers trademarked and patented this concept of the Nemesis system, which is essentially this like learning machine that is built into their characters. And so they were able to develop like personalities. They were able to lose and gain ranks amongst the armies. They remembered you. They remembered your character and how you like affected them and impacted them. They could become a part of your team and remember that about their history. And so it was these characters that were able to like build upon themselves in a way that was groundbreaking at the time. And then they got in a bunch of hot water and still kind of are in a bunch of hot water because they trademarked this system and nobody's able to use it for like another 10 years from now. So I think it was a 20 year trademark, I think in 2016 when it came out. And so it's like this thing that has just plagued a game system already. And I don't know if the conversation has even come up nowadays, but yeah, could very much be a part of that. Twyla also mentions Left 4 Dead selling points, Fear series, Project Milo, all those kind of things. So we've had debates before about AI and like player AI and computer predictive AI in gaming, and then we've got this whole new wave of the phenomenon of generative AI and these companies that are coming in and creating these models that are just so beyond impressive in what they're able to offer, but also problematic in their like iterations and in their origins. So it's a really interesting era for games. And then you have people that catch strays, like poor Clear Obscure. Not saying that they are completely innocent, but like they had their indie game award stripped away from them because they had used generative AI to create fake newspapers for some of their assets. And it's like, they sure did. They did that. They are also a like relatively small indie team, but they also had an Ubisoft background and probably should have known better about a policy and written that in there. And then we had Twyla mentions there, right? So Larian just put out this big Divinity trailer, and then they got into hot water because their I can't remember his name. Oh no. Their head guy said something about like, we're exploring the possibilities or something, and then got in some big hot water, and that he was like, never mind, we're actually laying our feet down right here and saying no more at all in any phase. And so it's the response of the player base is becoming a huge voice of the people kind of thing on people that again, like are maybe making poor choices, but are not like the root of our ire. Like OpenAI, like these companies that are doing this, that are causing all of the backlash. And then it's the Clear Obscure that's just like, hey, look, we can't afford artists, and for a short time, maybe we can use some replacement assets, and that's no longer going to fly. Even if it would have, if they hadn't been the biggest game of the year.
Right.
Oh,
Well, yeah, because
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mine's off topic slightly, so go.
Gotcha. If it was a small game that was not, like super uber popular, like, not well known, didn't win a bunch of awards, it was a game that a few people played, it would not be getting this much attention, even if it had used AI. Everyone would just kind of blow it off. But because it picks up, media, and I think a lot of it is too, especially with different websites, they love to perpetuate certain things and say certain things just to try to get attention and try to start arguments. I think that's a big thing we see in, especially with a bunch of different news articles now too. So I don't think that is quite helping the situation either, is these articles getting posted about that situation with Clear Obscure. I don't know. That's a lot of times what we see though is, different news websites will put out articles about it, and it like may not be the full context, or it leaves things out. And yeah, so I don't think that's really helped either, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say, how dare you just skip over the fact that 2016 was 10 years ago? You said that, and I was whiplash, and then you that just hurts. Moved on, and I was like, hey, we have to go back to that.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And I think that things are only moving faster, it feels sometimes. And especially the games industry as it continues to just balloon into this thing of there's always another game to play. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. Coyote also mentions there, kind of like we were talking about with these AI in character models and in the computer players, but also procedurally generated being a big buzzword of an era of games as well. And then Twyla mentioning how procedural generation could be a potential straw man for that. And I think that's really what we're getting at here is that there is this like cultural malaise that has just kind of overlaid the word AI that has become such a thing that becomes so reactionary. And it's not even that the reactions are wrong. It's that they're so fast. We move so quickly from one thing to the next. I think that's the biggest challenge. And ultimately for me, I think that the proper response as, again, coming at this from like the pastoral angle is we can't afford to not be aware about these things. And so we can't just bury our head in the sand. We have to at least be aware of what's going on. And then once we enter into that space, I find it easiest to approach it with a level of the spiritual side of how are we seeking out ways to do good with this technology, with anything that we do, like whether it's AI or whether it's literally what I do for my job, where I play video games and draw out things that do good, right? Like that's a part of my calling and very much a part of it. And then how are we avoiding harm being done? So how are we being aware of the harm being done so that we can understand that as well? And then how can we grow via these things? How can we use them in a way that's adequate? Seeing it as little more than the tool that it is. And I hope being willing to see the human behind the thing. I think that's something that all of this has really revealed, kind of a nasty side in the industry that we've forgotten that indie devs are human beings and that AAA devs are human beings. And like we've got people on the other side of these things that are at least worthy of being seen and known, especially from us on the spiritual side of things. Being able to offer that extension of grace in the midst of all of this, I think is something worth considering and pausing with as we enter into it.
Right. Well, and I mean, how many of the higher ups in these bigger AAA companies, for example, are telling these developers and telling these game designers, you have to use AI. You have to do this. I mean, we saw that with, the different film companies doing that, and the people who are way up on the ladder, like just way up there making the big bucks, telling these people down below, overworking them and telling them they have to do certain things. And so, I mean, I'd say that it's very possible what we're seeing too. I mean, we don't know because it's not really talked about, but.
You were talking about the speed and how fast, like, even just the opinions are going, and I think it's important to voice how we feel about things. Like, I think it's important to like check in and see if what we're saying is helpful or harmful, right? But I do think that if we want less AI, right? Like if we don't like this, we need to let the companies know now, right? Like we need to be absolutely not. We're not doing that. Because what if the one time that we're like, well, okay, this is fine, and now it's suddenly in absolutely everything, and no matter what you say, it's going to continue to go that way. Like, I think that's why people are having such like drastic and strong feelings and vocalizing them. Because you don't want to be complacent if you really don't agree with it, I guess, is my thought.
Yeah, I think that all makes sense. Twyla draws out monetization and the AAA kind of relationship of this that's been in the past. And I think that all of this is good stuff and a good place for us to be. I am going to wind down the conversation just so that we can get towards the end of the show. But I will say that this is always a fascinating topic. It's always one that's going to come up. I don't think that we'll be able to avoid the AI conversation. And at least for me, I don't want to avoid it. I want to continue kind of taking it face on so that we can be aware of these things, so that we can address these things, and ideally so that we can approach them from like a human forward sort of mindset. With that in mind, in February, we are going to be having a DLC around AI. So if you're curious to know about that, Twyla read my mind there, then you should pin down every Sunday. I don't know which one is going to be in February yet, so just pin them all down. You've got time. 8 p.m. If it's not that one, just come and join us for Man and Mingle. We want you there every Sunday night. But one of those Sunday nights is going to be a DLC. I'll be hosting that one. For those of you that don't know, quick shameless plug. I have a book coming out on Tuesday. And that is being published through Abingdon Press and Cokesbury. So it's right behind me here on the shelf, God in the Machine. So it's all about having a wise and discerning approach to AI. So in the age of faith and AI and technology, if you're curious about those kind of things, you can read the book starting Tuesday. It'll also be our book of the month for the February checkbox, and a big conversation in our DLC. So all of that and more will be coming pretty soon. Also, a quick little promo for Checkpoint on February the 5th, I'm pretty sure. I don't have the exact time, but February the 5th, we are going to be doing our next Pixel Pilgrimage. So for those of you that are not familiar with Pixel Pilgrimages, that is where we take a slow and spiritual journey into a video game. We're going to be doing our next Pixel Pilgrimage February 5th into a game called Many Nights a Whisper. I don't remember what I called it on the last episode of the Checkpoint Church podcast, but whatever I said, it was not that title. That was the wrong title. Whatever I said, I don't remember what I said, Going Boldly Into the Night or something. It was like just wrong. It wasn't the right thing. So the actual name of the game is Many Nights a Whisper. The premise of the game is that you are some special person who has been specially tasked with throwing everyone's wishes, shooting them like an arrow into a giant chalice. If you make it, then everyone's wishes come true. If you don't, then none of their wishes come true. No pressure. And so it is all about the moment leading up to this one shot that everyone is counting on you for. Very interesting as a concept. I played it. They almost immediately lean into some heavy, heavy themes. And so I stopped playing it immediately and said, this is going to be our pilgrimage. I want to experience this blind. So if that theme interests you, I think it's about a 2-hour experience, and we'll be pausing every half hour as we often do with Pixel Pilgrimages. And we would love to have you there for that event. Okay. As we get towards the end of the close of the show, we always like to ask the question of how did you checkpoint this week? To checkpoint means to engage meaningfully online. I have got to think of mine, so I will throw it off to Lizzie. How did you checkpoint this week?
Oh boy, you said online and I had an in-person thing, but it's okay. I played games with friends and hung out.
Nice.
And it was a good time. I think that's trying to think of anything else I've done. I'll be going to Man and Mingle today, and I'm doing the podcast. There we go. That's how I checkpoint.
There you go.
What about you, Arthur, bro?
I would say how I checkpointed this week was I did participate in the Bible study. Finally, took the time to really think my answers through and
Nice.
put something out there. Participating in the podcast. Just kind of, I hung around the server more often than I have been in the last year. So that's better for me than it has been. It's been a rough year. So we're finally on the rise.
We're glad that you're here, of course, and always glad when our people are able to take the time they need and to be in the spaces when they're able to. The best part about Checkpoint to me is that, for 6 years now, we've been a place where we've had a lot of people that have had to step away and then have had a place to come back to. And I just really love that. I think there's something really special about a digital space that is just constantly there. And so it literally is like whenever people need a place to return to, they're able to. That's just special. I checkpointed this week by joining in with a friend of the show, Cozy T Pastor, who just started playing Undertale. For those of you that don't know, Undertale is like one of my favorite games ever made. And it is Cozy T Pastor's very first time playing. And so I sat in Twitch chat and made jokes and helped whenever I was needed, but tried my best not to spoil anything whenever I wasn't needed as much as I wanted to, and just enjoyed those good old OSTs from Toby Fox, some of the best music in gaming, and then of course the wonderful story of Undertale. Twilight checkpointed this week. Oh, go ahead. Do
you know what route Cozy T is going?
So that was a part of what I started to spoil for him. Is he was going to stumble into the neutral route, and I was like, because he didn't talk. This is such a in-depth, like inside baseball conversation. For if you don't want Undertale spoiled, don't listen to what I'm about to say. Almost everybody that falls for the neutral route falls for it right away because they don't talk to the very first Frogget whenever Toriel lets you loose, and so they don't actually know that they don't have to kill anything. And so
there are people that don't know not to.
Yeah, he thought you like maybe didn't have to kill any of the main characters, but the like REs didn't count, or he couldn't figure out exactly how to do it. And so I was like, yeah, nothing in this game actually has to die. I was like, nothing has to die. And I just kept saying it. And somebody in the chat was like, you need to let him make his own decisions. I was like, yeah, I do. I do need to let him make his own decisions. But I also, if I can gently guide someone into the pacifist route, I always will. So I'll try my best. That game is older than 2016, and I do not appreciate that at all, Twyla. Appreciate that.
People were playing that when I was in high school.
Yeah. Same with Stardew that year, man. Oh, it's rough.
Yeah. With me being younger than both of you, I think I was in junior high when Undertale came out.
What? All right. Okay.
It doesn't make me feel old anymore because it just means I have new people to get to introduce the greatest games of all time to, and I will embrace that opportunity. Yeah.
I was in elementary school when FNAF got super popular. Like,
oof.
I can remember it just like, yeah, I can remember when like the first and second games came out, everyone was like, yo, you gotta check out this game. And like everyone had it on their phones, and like people were actively pirating the game too. I don't know. It was a weird era of gaming.
How old would you have been whenever Fruit Ninja came out?
Oh gosh.
I downloaded Fruit Ninja in high school. And so that's going to make me feel incredibly old. I think I downloaded it in high school.
Did Fruit Ninja come out?
It had to have been maybe 2008-ish, 2009, 2010, somewhere around those age. It was early enough in high school. Yeah.
Okay, it was 2010, so I would have been
12.
Gosh. I would have been 10 actually when Fruit Ninja came out.
Yeah. Yep. Too young, and so it's definitely like there is a generation of the iPad kids that are like playing the games that I was playing in high school whenever they were trying to be entertained by their parents, and that's a mood.
Yeah,
that's a mood. That's what it's going to be.
I don't know.
Do let us know.
Like, in that weird era growing up where it was like in between being an iPad kid but also going outside and playing. And so it was such a weird time to, be a kid because, smartphones started releasing and different things with technology, and gaming changed a lot. It was a weird time. Growing up in that.
I believe it. And I was very much growing up in a different phase of my life during it, and remember it being a strange time. And we're in a strange time now. I feel an interesting way for my kiddos as they're growing up. So yeah. Such is the vibe, such is the life. But we're glad that we can be a place like Checkpoint Church, stepping in the midst of these moments and asking people, how did you checkpoint this week? How did you engage meaningfully online? And trying to encourage people in the online era that we live in being able to truly ask that question of themselves of how can we be more meaningful in our interactions in these spaces. That is my response to the Jonathan Haidts of the world and the anxious generation commentaries, is that I think that rather than just taking phones away, we should ask people how can they use them on purpose. That is my goal, and that is Checkpoint's goal, and we're going to continue pushing towards that. And with that, we do have to end the show. I joked about us being an hour and a half, and doggone it.
Technically, we're only an hour and like 10-ish minutes.
That's true. We did ramble for a bit at the beginning about some good music stuff. But you'd only know about that if you came early enough on the show. So look, if you want to get the good bits that come before the show gets started, you got to tune in right at 2:00 on every other Sunday to be there for the conversations before the show. We're going to end the show a new way. So we asked, how did you checkpoint this week? But then we're also going to be ending this. We launched YouTube memberships. So we've always had Twitch subscriptions, but now we also have YouTube memberships. And we're going to start giving shout outs at the end of the show. So if you are able and willing and want to support the show, we're going to have 3 tiers available. You can go watch our YouTube video for more information if you would like it on what these are going to be about. We're going to have boosters, hype crew, and patrons. All of those are different tier levels. Boosters are just going to get one big shout out along with all of our Twitch subscribers. So if you are a YouTube booster or a Twitch subscriber, we thank you. We appreciate you for being a part of the show. We're also going to give a shout out to any hype crew members here on the podcast. And then our patrons are going to get a shout out here on the podcast as well as on the Nerdy Sermons. And we have 2 patrons so far, Twyla and Buish. So appreciate folks for signing up for any level of support or for just supporting us with your view, your like, and your comment down below. However you are able to support Checkpoint Church, we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. And with that, we're going to come to the end of this show. Thank you to Lizzie and Orthobro for being a part of the show. Chats and the clap for our level 2 co-hosts. And we're going to end this one, as we always do, with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there. Whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God, hate church, no matter what, we still believe these 3 things to be true about you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you, we want community with you. That's what we're doing here. And then number 3, that you, yes, you matter. You're a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you being a part of the Checkpoint Church podcast this week. We will see you next week for our very first nerdy sermon of season 7. That's crazy. And then we'll see you the week after that for the Checkpoint Church podcast to return. Until next time, folks. Bye-bye.